we were learning about exponents, and you had the back page of the packet for homework, so please have it out so you can go over your answers. You were supposed to match the answer with the appropriate expression that equaled that answer. So 30 you should have matched with I, 120 with S, 75 with M, 90 with P, 45 with R, 40 with E at the top, 72 with E at the bottom, 50 with T, and 36 with A. And when you solved the riddle, by putting the letter with the number, it says the student was good at finding factors because he had a prime seat in class. That means he was up front and paying attention. Any questions? All right, let's look at, guys, what goes through your head does not need to come out of your mouth. Come here right now. All right, today we're going to do more with exponents, and we're also going to review some decimal operations because some people are still struggling with those.
Are we doing it in our module, right?
No. I am coming around to pass out your packet for today, so please sit quietly while I come around. All right, as I said, today we're going to be learning more about exponents, or reviewing how exponents work, and we're going to be reviewing operations with decimals. So let's look at your first page of your packet. Let's review some vocabulary for our exponents. Number 1 says, an exponent tells how many factors of the base, guys make this base, it is spelled wrong. So again, an exponent tells how many factors of the base are being multiplied. In the expression 5 to the second power, the base is 5, and the exponent is 2. An exponent is also called a power. So, in the problem, 5 with an exponent of 2, it may be read 5 to the second power. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
So if I have 1/2 with the exponent 3, you may read it 1/2 to the third power. What if I have 3/10 with an exponent of 4? It would be 3/10 to the fourth power. 8 with an exponent of 10, it may be read 8 to the 10th power. There are 2 exponents that have a nickname. They have a special vocabulary word. One of them is the second power, and when you see an exponent of 2, you say squared. So for example, 6 to the second power is read as 6 squared. And if you have an exponent of 3, or to the third power, it is known as cubed. So if I have 2 with an exponent of 3, you would read it as 2 cubed. And this is every time you see an exponent of 2 and every time you see an exponent of 3. The 2 is squared and the 3 is cubed. Those are the only 2 that have special words. Okay? So when you see those, you won't say 6 to the power of 2, you will say 6 squared. Or 2 to the power of 3, you would say 2 cubed. Does that make sense? So let's look at the examples at the bottom. They gave us 4 to the 8th power and wrote it in words how we would read it. 4 to the 8th power. Then they gave us 7 with an exponent of 2, and how would we read that? We would say 7 squared. So I want you to do C through H, write it in words how you read that power. How would you read that base with that exponent? You have about 2 minutes to get this done. supposed to write them how you read them. So let's look at this. How would I write or read 3 with an exponent of 3? 3 cubed. How would I write 1 with an exponent of 5, Emma?
1 to the 5th power.
1 to the 5th power. How would I write 1/3 with an exponent of 2, Bella? 1/3 squared. How would I write 2/10 to the 6th with an exponent of 6? 2/10 to the 6th power.
You literally said that.
Yes, I almost did.
You still technically.
4 with an exponent of 7. 4 to the 7th power. And 1 and 5/10 with an exponent of 3. Yes, 1 and 5/10 cubed. Good job. Are there any questions about how to write them as you read them? Yes?
Yeah, I was wondering if I could do like the decimal for 2/10. Can we put the fraction form? Or should we put decimal?
You need to use it as a decimal. Any other questions? All right, next page. Now we are going to review how to write the exponents either in exponential form or expanded form. What do you think exponential form is? What does it mean to write it in exponential form? Nate? Okay, you have it a little backwards. Right. You put the exponent with the base. They already give you the problem. So it's your job to rewrite it using an exponent. So let's look at number 2. We can write 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 in exponential form. And what do you notice? I notice that this has the word exponent in it, meaning I'm writing it with an exponent. Does that make sense? Please sharpen your pencil. So if I have a base of 4, that is what I'm multiplying. Count the number of factors that I'm multiplying. How many am I multiplying?
5.
How many? 5. So 5 is my exponent. So how would I rewrite 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 in exponential form? Luna?
4 to the power 5.
Yes, I would write 4 with an exponent of 5, or 4 to the 5th power. Does that make sense? So 4 is what I'm multiplying, and 5 is how many times I'm multiplying it by itself. So I want you to do B through H, rewrite these in exponential form. You have 2 minutes. Let's go over these. I have 1/4 times 1/4. How would I write this in exponential form, Emma? I would have 1/4 to the 2nd power, or squared. Guys, when you have a fraction and you're writing it using an exponent, it is important that you put it in parentheses. Let me show you why. Because when I make it a fraction, I'm already making the number smaller than normal, right? To fit one on top of the other. So if I was to put my exponent, what does that almost look like? 12/4. That is why it is important when you have a fraction to put it in parentheses so you can tell them apart, the fraction from the exponent. Does that make sense? Fractions are the only time that you have to put them in parentheses. You don't have to do that for decimals or whole numbers because those are already regular sized numbers. Only for fractions. Does that make sense? So how would I write 7/10 times 7/10 times 7/10 times 7/10? And yes, guys, when you have two parentheses by each other, it means to multiply. Emily, how would I rewrite this? Yes, 7/10 with an exponent of 4. All right. Kaylee, 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. How would I rewrite that? 10 to the power of 5. 1/8 times 1/8 times 1/8. Cannon? And what's special about this one, Cannon? It needs to be in parentheses. 1/10 times 1/10. Okay, hold on just a second. Yes. 1/10 to the power of 2, or 1/10 squared. Yes, Kaylee.
Do you also have to put parentheses?
No, it's just
Not for decimal, just fraction. Now, if you do it, it's fine. It's not going to change your answer. 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. Sophie? Yes. 7 with an exponent of 6. And 9 times 9. Somebody that I haven't called. Can't remember your name. Ayana?
9 squared.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes?
She's good at fractions. To write important functions and then actually break the squares.
When it says exponential form, you have to write it with an exponent. Make sense? Okay. 5. Guys, don't get loud in between exercises. I think I skipped something. Okay, so let's look at the bottom of the page. This time we're taking it from exponential form and we're taking it to expanded form. So doing the opposite of what we just did. We're taking it from the exponent and writing it as a multiplication sentence. Make sense? So how would I write 2 to the 6th power in expanded form? Kaylee?
2 times 2 times 2.
All right. This time, after you write it in expanded form, I want you to solve it. I want you to find the answer. So if I have 2 times 2, that is
4.
4. 4 times 2 is
8.
8. 8 times 2 is
16.
16 times 2 is
32.
and 32 times 2 is
64.
I'm so smart, guys.
Okay, so I want you to notice how I am connecting to which 2 I am multiplying by so I don't get lost. I know that when I connect to this last 2, once I multiply, I am done. Does that make sense? So I want you to do the same thing. I want you to write it in expanded form, and then I want you to find the answers for B through F. And this time I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to work. Go for it.
I don't know the
All right, guys. So how would I rewrite B? 1/8 with an exponent of 3. Bella? Yes, 1/8 times 1/8 times 1/8. I don't need to write it in parentheses because I'm not using an exponent. And now I need to do what? Multiply. So to multiply fractions, it's just numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So what is 1 times 1? 1 times 1. So 8 times 8? 64 times 8?
512.
So your answer is 1/512. 5. I don't enjoy talking over people. 1 4/10 with the exponent of 2. How would I rewrite that?
1 4.
It's already squared. I need to write it in expanded form, which is 1 4/10 times 1 4/10. And then I'm going to write that out so I can solve it. So 4 times 4 is? 16. Carry my 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Cross that out, put my placeholder. 1 times everything is itself. So that's 6, 9, 1. There are 2 numbers after decimals in the problem, so there should be 2 numbers after the decimal in my answer. And I get 1 and 96 hundredths.
Yes.
Guys, if you got 28, you are adding.
What?
We are not adding, we are multiplying. 30 with an exponent of 4 is what, Nora? Guys, this is just like multiplying by 3 each time and then adding a 0 each time. So 30 times 30 would be 900 because there are 2 zeros. Then that times 30 would be 27,000 because I added another 0.
27,000.
And then that times 30 would be 810,000 because I added another 0. So it is 810,000. Okay. 1, I'm going to wait until you're finished talking. 2, what we don't finish in class is your homework, so that's on you.
No. Yes.
7 with an exponent of 5. How would I rewrite that? Ready?
7 times 7 times 7 times 7.
All right, and I am multiplying. It is not 7 times 5. I'm not going to get an answer of 35 because the first 2 7s when I multiply are 49 already. And then I multiply that times 7, and what do I get?
343.
343. And then that times 7, and what do I get? 2,000 what? 7 times 3 is 21. 2,401 it looks like. And then that times 7 would give me 708. 16. So 16,807.
Oh, got it.
Why are you out of your seat?
No, Brian.
That's because you didn't have that number. You didn't. You had 201 something something something, and that was not correct. 5, 4. All right, the next one, Micah.
So, 9 squared, so you know, it's 9 times 9, 9 times 9.
And that equals?
81.
So does everybody understand the difference between multiplying repeatedly for exponents and adding repeatedly? Right? Fix your face, please. All right. So, since we understand, I want you to do the bottom of the next page. A through F. These are easier numbers, so it should not take you as long, so I'm only going to give you 7 minutes. Go for it. Guys, standard form just means you are solving it. So I want you to write it in expanded form, and then I want you to solve it. All right, let's go over these. How would I write 9 with an exponent of 2 in expanded form, right? 9 times 9, and what does that equal? 81. 5. Emma? 3 to the 3rd power. 3 times 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 is?
9.
9 times 3 is? 27. Guys, it is not 9.
Would it be,
Just 27. Nope. Once you write it in expanded form, you are done with the exponent. 1/2 to the power of 4, or to the 4th power. Emily? All right, and 1 times 1 is?
1.
Times 1 is? Times 1 is?
1.
All right, 2 times 2?
4.
4 times 2? 8 times 2?
16.
So you get 1/16. 12 to the 2nd power. Somebody that I haven't gotten before. 12 times 12. And what does that equal? Why am I talking over people? Enough. Mateo, 3/4 to the 2nd power.
3/4 times 3/4.
So 3 times 3 is? 4 times 4 is?
I got it right. I thought I was wrong.
6 to the 3rd power. 6 times 6 times 6. So what is 6 times 6?
36.
And 36 times 6?
216.
Any questions about these exponents? Okay, now you're going to have to be very quiet and listen to the directions for the next part, or you will not do the right problems. Got it? So on the next 3 pages, you are only doing number 1. So the next 3 pages, you are only doing number 1. So I want you to work on those 3 problems. Guys, this is a review of a review of a review because we have taught this several times. Therefore, I want you doing it on your own. This is not table work, which in return means there is no reason for you to talk to someone near you.
It's this
Got it?
Is it this one?
Number 1 on the next 3 pages. They are on the board so you can match them to the problem on your paper. You're just doing number 1 on the first part. Okay, you have 10 minutes till lunch to complete these, and then we will go over them when you get back from lunch. But again, this is individual work because this is something that you need to know for all the rest of your years in math through high school. So quietly work. All right, guys, let's go over these 3 problems. Miss Arcacia, or Arsha, lives 8 76/100 miles away from school. After school, she stops at the grocery store, which is 1 9/10 miles away from school. And the trip back to her apartment is 9 14/100 miles. How many total miles did she drive? So we already know we are going to be adding these decimals because that is what they told us. But what's important about adding decimals, Kaylee?
You have to line up the decimals.
You have to line up the decimals. So my first one, 8 76/100,
So it's 9.
and then 1 9/10, and then 9 14/100. What do I do to make them have the same place values? Add a 0 behind the 9. So 6 plus 4?
10.
1 plus 7?
18.
8 plus 9?
Sorry.
Plus 1?
18.
Line up my decimals, bring up my 1. 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 1 is 10, plus 9 is... So,
1980.
she drove 19 80/100 miles. Any questions about that one?
No, that one was just...
All right. The next one, subtracting decimals. Savannah's family goes on a road trip that is a total distance of 379 and 3/400 miles. Henry's family takes a trip that is a total of 522 and 1/10 miles. How many more miles did Henry's family travel than Savannah's family? So we're talking about Henry's family first. So which of these numbers represents Henry's family? Which of the numbers represents Henry's family? 522 and 1/10 miles. Guys, I saw some people subtracting the opposite way. Can you take 500 away from 300? No. And then we're subtracting how many Savannah's family traveled. How do I make them have the same place value? Deanna? Add a 0 behind the 1. So now I have 0 minus 4. Can I do that? No. So I borrow from the 1. It becomes 0. This becomes 10. 10 minus 4? 6. 0 minus 3? Can't do it. So I borrow. Put my 1. 10 minus 3? 7. 1 minus 9? Can't do it. That becomes 1. This becomes 11. 11 minus 9? 2. 1 minus 7? Can't do it. 4. Did this 11 minus 7? 4. And 4 minus 3?
1.
And line up my decimals. So, Henry's family traveled 142 and 7/600 miles more. Any question about that one? All right. The third one I asked you to work on. Mr. Kalungi wants to put new baseboards along the bottom of the wall in his living room. His living room has a length of 22 feet and a width of 14 feet. The baseboards come in 4 62/100 foot strips. You can buy them in packs of 15 strips. If he buys one pack, will he have enough baseboard to go around the perimeter of his living room? That's a key word, guys. Perimeter. So let's pretend this is a living room. How many walls do we have? 4. And the perimeter is going around the outside of it, right? So we need to know how many feet are around the outside of his living room. So if one wall is 22 feet, what does that mean? Let's say this wall over here is 22 feet. What do I know? Emma? That the wall across from it or parallel to it is also 22 feet. So how many feet is that in all? That's 44 feet. And then if this wall is 14 feet, what do I know? Emily? That wall is going to be 14 feet, right? So for those two walls, that is 28 feet. So how much does he need for his whole living room? He needs 72 feet for the whole perimeter of his living room. But now we need to find out if one box is enough. What do we know about the one box of trim? Baseboard, yes? Okay, so one strip is 4 62/100 foot, and there are 15 of them inside the box. So what do I need to do to find out how many feet that is? JJ? 62/100 times 15. Yes, ma'am?
Someone said I left my jacket here.
It's on my desk chair. All right, so I have 4 62/100 times 15. So 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 6 is 30 plus 1 is 31. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 3 is 23. cross out my one that I've used, add a placeholder. Everything times 1 is itself. And then I add them together. So I have 2 numbers behind the decimal in my problem. So I have 2 numbers behind the decimal in my answer. So I get 69 3/10 feet of baseboard. So the question says, does he have enough baseboards to go around the perimeter of his living room? No. He only buys 69 feet, but the whole living room perimeter is 72 feet. So no, he does not. Does that make sense? Cannon, you're really going to have to move back. Somebody's,
You're reading a popular here.
All right. The next page is also multiplying decimals. And I want you to do the whole top box, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to give you 8 minutes. All right, let's go over these 3 problems. The iPhone 5S has a base of 58.57 millimeters and a height of 123 and 83 hundredths millimeters. Find the area of the iPhone 5S. Round your answer to the hundredths place. So what is area?
Inside, it's what?
How much space it covers? And how do we find that? Ready?
You multiply.
Yes, length times width or base times height. So I have 123 and 83 hundredths times 58 and 57 hundredths.
56.
All right, so 3 times 7 is 21. 7 times 8 is 56 plus 2 is 58. 7 times 3 is 21 plus 5 is 26. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 2 is 16. And 7 times 1 is 7 plus 1 is 8. So I've multiplied all of my top numbers by 7, so I can mark it out. My decimals do not line up when I am multiplying, so I do not bring down the decimal. And I need a placeholder. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 8 is 40 plus 1 is 41. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 4 is 19. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11. And 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1 is 6. I can cross that out, add 2 placeholders. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 8 is 64 plus 2 is 66. 8 times 3 is 24 plus 6 is 30. 8 times 2 is 16 plus 3 is 19. And 8 times 1 is 8 plus 1 is 9. I can cross that out. I add 3 zeros or placeholders.
5 times 2 is
I've already multiplied by 5. So I can go through and add my answer that I had for 5. And then I can add them all together. So I get 1. 8 plus 5 is 13. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Would you quit saying that over and over again? 22, 27, 10, 12, 25, 12, 7. So I get 7,000, no commas yet. 7, 2, 5, 5, 2, 7, 2, 3, 1. There are 2 numbers after each decimal, so there should be 4 numbers after the decimal in my answer. And I get 72,552 and 7231 after the decimal. Then it says round to the nearest decimal.
hundredths.
So would I use that 3 to round the 2 up or stay the same?
Stay the same.
Lucky mushrooms.
I am waiting for you to get quiet. Yeah, they don't understand that part. And this is millimeters squared, guys. All right, the second part says the screen of the iPhone 5S has a base of 51 7/10 millimeters and a height of 90 39 millimeters. Find the area of the screen. So again, we are multiplying 90 39 times 51 7/10. So 7 times 9 is 63. 7 times 3 is 21 plus 6 is 27. 7 times 0 is 0 plus 2 is 2. And 7 times 9 is 63. Cross it out, put a placeholder. 1 times everything is itself. Cross that out, 2 placeholders. 5 times 9 is 45. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 4 is 19. 5 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. 5 times 9 is 45. Add that all together, and you get 4673063. There are 3 numbers after the decimals in the problem, so there should be 3 numbers after the decimal in the answer. And it says round to the nearest hundredths place, so is that 3 going to leave the 6 the same or round it up?
Round it up. I mean, sorry.
Stay the same. Millimeters squared, guys.
I thought you said 6.
Any questions about that one? Any questions? Then it says, find the area on the front of the iPhone that is not part of the screen. So if I have the total area and I have the area for the screen, what am I going to do to find it without the screen? JJ? I'm going to subtract. I'm going to take the screen away from that total area. I don't know why this thing hates me so much. There we go. All right, so I have 72552 minus 4673. And remember, your decimals have to line up when you are subtracting. So can I subtract 2 minus 6? No. So I borrow. 12 minus 6 is 6. 6 minus 0 is 6. Bring down my decimal. 2 minus 3. 12 minus 3. 4 minus 7. Can't do it. 14 minus 7 is 7. 4 minus 6. Can't do it. 14 minus 6 is 8. 1 minus 4. Can't do it. 11 minus 4 is 6. And bring down my 6. So I get 66,879 and 66 hundredths millimeters squared. Any questions? Yes?
11 minus 4 is not 6.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm trying to finish quickly so we don't have so much homework. Is that better? Yes? Any questions about this problem? No. All right, on the next page, I want you to do number 1 at the top of the page. Yes. Guys, what we don't finish is homework. So what we don't finish, that's what you have for homework. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, and then the whole exponents page for homework. Bye, honey. Have a good day.
Bye. Then you write homework for
Alright guys, let's go back and do this problem again because something went wrong. So 123 and 83 hundredths times 58 and 57 hundredths.
whatever.
7 times 3 is 21. Carry my 2. 7 times 8 is 56 plus 2 is 58. Carry my 5. 7 times 3 is 21 plus 5 is 26. Carry my 2. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 2 is 16. Carry my 1. And 7 times 1 is 7 plus 1 is 8. Cross that out. 2. 1 placeholder. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 8 is 40 plus 1 is 41. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 4 is 19. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11. And 5 times 1 is 1 plus 1 is 6. Sorry, 5 and plus 1 is 6. Cross that out. 2 placeholders. 8 times 3 is 24. Carry my 2. 8 times 8 is 64 plus 2 is 66. 8 times 3 is 24 plus 6 is 30. 8 times 2 is 16 plus 3 is 19. And 8 times 1 is 8 plus 1 is 9. 3 placeholders. And then I can just copy my 5s. So that's 1. 8 plus 5 is 13. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 10, 16, 22, 27, 10, 11, 12, 10, 16, 25, 10, 12, and 7. So I get 7, 2, 5, 2, 7, 2, 31. There are 4 numbers after the decimals. So there should be 4 numbers after the decimal in the answer. It says to round to the nearest hundredths place, so I use my 3 and get 7,252 and 72 hundredths millimeters squared. Then, jumping back down to number 3, I should have 7,252 and 72 hundredths minus 4,673 and 6 hundredths. Two minus 6 can't do it. So 12 minus 6 is 6. 6 minus 0 is 6. Decimal. Borrow. 12 minus 3 is 9. Borrow. 14 minus 7 is 7. Borrow. 11 minus 6 is 5. And 6 minus 4 is 2. So I should get 2,579 and 66 hundredths millimeters squared. Alright, dividing decimals. Clayton Kershaw, a baseball player for the Los Angeles Dodgers, makes $30.15 million per year. There are 162 games in Major League Baseball season. Carmelo Anthony, a basketball player for the Knicks, makes $24.81 million per year. There are 82 games in the NBA season. Which player is making more money per game played? And then it says round to the nearest hundredths place. So let's start with Clayton Kershaw. We have 30.15 divided by 162. So that would go once. Borrow 11, that's 9, 3, 1, bring down my 5. That would go 8. So borrow 15 minus 6 is 9. Borrow 18 minus 9 is 9. Add a 0. bring it down. Five. Nope. Let's try 6. That's 12. Maybe 6, 7. That's better. 8, 10. 8 minus 7 is 1. However, it says to round to the nearest hundredths place. So if I have 18.6 and I round, that gives me 0.19 million per game. So let's do Carmelo Anthony. He makes 24.81 million out of 82 games. So that's 0, 0, 3, 246. That leaves 2. Bring down my 1. So that's 0. Add a 0. Bring it down. And the 210 would be 2. So that's 4. 10 minus 4 is 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. But I can stop because I need the hundredths place. So he gets 0.30 million per game. So it looks like Carmelo Anthony makes more. Use the smartboard. I'm not sure what it just did. That was fun. Per game. All right. Next, dividing decimals by decimals. On average, the Earth is 92.96 million miles from the Sun. Jupiter is 483.8 million miles from the Sun. How many times farther from the Sun is Jupiter than Earth? Round your answer to the nearest hundredth. So I'm going to be dividing 483 and 8/10 by 92 and 96 hundredths. So the first thing I need to do is move my decimal twice in both places and add a 0. So now I have 92, 96 and 48380. And my decimal is here. So 9,296 can go into 48,380 5 times. So that's 0, 3, 8, 4, 14, 46. Okay, 0, 0, borrow. 13 minus 4 is 9, 7 minus 6 is 1, add a 0, bring it down. So into 19,000, you can go twice. So that's 12, 19, 5, and 18. Subtract. So I have to borrow. That becomes 9, 9, 10. So that's 8, 0, 4. Add a 0, bring it down. I'm making sure I'm going to round to the nearest hundredths, so I need to go to 3 numbers after the decimal place. So into 4,080, it goes 0 times. So add another 0, bring it down. Into 40,800, it would go 4 times. So 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 9 is 36, plus 2 is 38. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. 4 times 9 is 36, plus 1 is 37. So I borrow. 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 8 is 1. 7 minus 1 is 6. Borrow again. 10 minus 7 is 3. But I can stop because I'm at the third number after the decimal. And I need to round to the nearest hundredths place using the 4. So the Earth, or sorry, Jupiter, is 5 and 20 hundredths, or 2/10 times farther from the sun than Earth. Number 2, if you were in a spaceship that could travel from the Earth to the sun at the speed of 1.6 million miles per hour, how long would it take you to get to the sun? So, going back to how far the sun is from the Earth, it is 92 and 96 hundredths divided by 1.6. I moved my decimals, so now I have 16 into 929.6, bring up my decimal. 16 can go into 92 5 times, that's 80, bring down my 9. 16 can go into 129 7 times, 7 times 1 plus 4 is 11. So that's 7, 1, bring down my 6. And in the 176, it can go one more time into this one, sorry. 8 times 129. And then 8 times 6 is 8. Here my 4. There we go, that's better. Bring down my 6. It can't go into 6. Oh, it can go into 16. I'm sorry, guys. It's Monday. I'm having a struggle bus today. So it would take 58 and 1/10 hours to get to the sun. And exponents. So which is greater, 5 to the 6th power or 6 to the 5th power? So we're going to have to work them out. 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125, times 5 is 625, times 5 is 3125, and times 5 is 15,625. And 6 to the 5th power, so 6 times 6 is 36, times 6 is 216, times 6 is 1296, and times 6 is 7,776. So it looks like 5 to the 6th power is greater. And the last one, when flipping a coin 10 times, the odds of flipping all heads is 1 in 2 to the 10th power. Write this probability without using an exponent. So, if we have 2 to the 10th power, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32, times 2 is 64, times 2 is 128, times 2 is 256, times 2 is 512, and times 2 is 1,024. So the odds are 1 in 1,024. Sorry about the struggle bus today, guys. Hope you understand all of this.